Hi guys, it's Angie with Fun Endeavors Tie-Dye Lab. Today let's do a gravity-dyed scrunch twist design. The 4th of July is coming up, so let's do this one in some patriotic colors as well. I have the shirt turned inside out, and I'm going to do this process outside. So I've taken 2 plastic sawhorses and placed them outside with 2 pieces of vinyl guttering in between the sawhorses. Then over my vinyl guttering, I've placed a metal shelf that has square holes in it. I'm going to place the shirt with the front side facing down, and starting at the neck of the shirt, I'm going to grab small areas of fabric, twist it, and press it through the holes in the metal shelf. On this shirt, my scrunch twist design is going to go a little bit longer than I have in some other shirts in the past. I've had people ask what it would look like if I put a little bit more of this design on the shirt and a little bit less of the gravity dye. So I'm going to try it out on this shirt. We'll see. For reference, this is a size extra large shirt. Like I mentioned, I'm going to use some patriotic colors for this shirt. So I'm going to use Chinese red, fire red, Houdini blue, and midnight blue, which are all Dharma Trading Company colors. So it's always windy where I live, but today it's a little extra windy. So I'm going to start by applying the colors vertically on the shirt. And the minute I started to apply the midnight blue, a big wind gust blew up and blew the midnight blue across the shirt. There's not much I can do about it, but that's kind of one of the risks of doing gravity dyes outside. I'm going to leave a space and then I'm going to put a line of Houdini blue. In between the midnight and Houdini blue, I'm going to place a line of fire red. The last color I'm adding is the Chinese red. I do want to leave some white space in between all the colors to allow the colors some space to move. I'm probably not going to have a lot of white, if any white, left on this design because of the way the colors are going to move, kind of blend together, flow down the shirt. But this shirt's still going to have a patriotic feel to it, even without a lot of white left. Now I'm going to add an additional sprinkle of dry soda ash over the top, and then add on some larger chunks of ice. It's not only windy here today, but it's really hot. I think we're supposed to reach over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. So the larger chunks of ice tend to stay on the shirt a little bit longer. It doesn't take them very long to melt, but I don't have to replace them quite as often as smaller pieces of ice. After these large chunks of ice melted, I came back and added another round of large chunks of ice. And after they melted, I just took this shelf off of the top of the vinyl guttering and placed it down inside of a plastic Tupper tote that had tall sides. Then I put the lid on the tote and I put it outside so that it could still be out in the heat, but so that the shirt would not dry out. Once all the ice melts, it is very easy in the wind for that shirt to dry out, and I don't want that to happen. If the shirt dries out, the dye quits reacting or bonding with the fabric. I've added a lot of process photos so that you can see how the dye moved down the shirt and the ice melted. If you're wondering how I determine how much ice to add to a gravity dye, I do that by how far I want the dye to travel down the shirt. You know, sometimes I can get by with just adding 1 layer of ice. Sometimes I add 2, 3, even more. It just depends on the thickness of the shirt, the design, how quickly the dye is traveling down the shirt, and how much excess dye I have left on top. So at this point, if I wasn't happy with how much dye I had streaking down the shirt, I do have a little bit of undissolved dye left sitting on top of the shirt, and I could have just added another layer of ice. To make sure my design doesn't dry out, if for some reason I have a very complex design and I can't, lay it in a container or bring it inside, I just take and lightly spray it with some soda ash solution. And I just continue doing that until I feel like the shirt has processed long enough. In heat like we have going on right here, right now, I can really substantially cut back on the amount of time I leave my shirt out to process. I could have probably pulled this one in maybe 6 to 8 hours after the ice melted, and it would have been just as vibrant as leaving it for 24. I went ahead and left this one for about 24 hours though. Last year out on Facebook, there was some sort of a chart that went around telling if the temperature was a certain amount, how long you really needed to leave the shirt to process. I haven't seen that chart going around this year, but if you go out to some of the Facebook groups like The Process of Ice Dyeing and do a search, you might be able to find that. Obviously, the hotter it is outside, the less time the shirt needs to process. Okay, so now it's time to start rinsing the shirt. And I did that by taking the shelf to my utility sink, and I started rinsing the shirt in cold water to rinse out the soda ash. Then I took the shirt off of the shelf, warmed the water up to hot, and I continued rinsing in hot water to rinse out the excess dye that didn't bond with the fabric. Instead of rinsing for a long time, I placed some really hot water in my utility sink, added some Blue Dawn dish detergent to the water, and just allowed the shirt to soak. After the water cooled off, I changed it out and I continued that soaking process until my water was remaining almost clear. Then I put the shirt along with some Dharma's professional textile detergent into my washing machine and I washed it using a hot water cycle. Okay, so I've washed, dried, and ironed the shirt, and let's see what it looks like. Okay, so what do you guys think? I think this one looks really cool. I don't have a lot of white left, but I do have a lot of color variation, which I think looks really cool. So when you're looking at the shirt, the midnight blue is over on the right-hand side, followed by the fire red, Houdini blue, and Chinese red. And I love the color variation in that midnight blue area. If you remember, that's the part where the wind blew, so that space is a little bit larger than the rest of the colors. And I love the design. I love that kind of crumpled feeling with the dye streaking down. I just think that's a really fun, interesting design to look at. Normally when I do patriotic designs, I like to use midnight blue and fire red. I know Dharma has come up with some reds and blues now that don't split quite as much, but I don't know, these are just kind of my old go-to colors for patriotic and I still really love them. The Chinese red, which is over on that one end, is a little more pink, so I prefer the fire red. Fire red does split out just a little bit of yellow when you ice dye with it, and the midnight blue splits out a little bit of kind of purpley pink, but I don't really mind that on a patriotic design. I don't think it looks bad. The Houdini blue is great too. I like the Houdini blue paired with the fire red as well. So I knew going in with this shirt before I actually applied the dye that there was a flaw in the band around the neck. And I was okay with that. I figured, well, I'll just repair that, give it away to a friend, or, find somebody in the family to wear it. But then after I rinsed out the shirt while I was ironing it, I found where there's a hole down in the very bottom part next to the hem. And I don't know if that's always been there or whether maybe I had a curious squirrel that somehow ripped the shirt. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't really matter. I wasn't going to sell the shirt anyway, so I'll just repair that part too because it's not super easy to see. And somebody in the family will enjoy wearing it. But overall, I love the shirt, love the design, think it's a really cool looking shirt, would be great for the 4th of July. But what do you guys think? Please drop me some comments down below and let me know. And if you've enjoyed watching the video, I sure would appreciate it if you would like it and if you'd subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you'll hit the bell, you'll receive a notification whenever I upload a new video. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a great day.